We was walking through the park just yesterday. Laid her head on my shoulder, said she felt so safe. Sitting by the pond, watching the sun go down. Little voices from the children on the playground, showing this lady how we make him feel so right. Asking questions about a family and what love looks like. Baby, you're so fine. Baby, you blow my mind. And I just wanna spend some time with you, girl. Got me singing, baby, baby, whoa, baby, yeah. Got me singing, baby, baby, whoa. Can't be with you. Was riding down me around midnight. We was laughing, touching, kissing, and it felt right. No, this girl can never be the one for me. But why should a man ever feel this lonely? This life I'm living just doesn't feel right. That's why I'm writing all my feelings down tonight. And baby, you're so fine. Baby, you blow my mind. And I just wanna spend some time with you, girl. She's got me singing, baby, baby, whoa, baby, yeah. Got me singing, baby, baby, whoa. But I can't be with you. Girl, you're so tempting to me. But I won't fall for it anymore. I tried to help you, but you wouldn't listen. And now I'm walking away. She had me singing, baby, baby, ooh, baby. Had me singing, baby, baby, ooh. But I can't be with you. But I can't be with you. Can't be with you.
Yes. What better way to turn your Monday blues into your Monday good news than with great music? Welcome to Motivation Mondays with Monica Marie Jones. Today featuring Trey Simon. And as I'm sure you can tell, I was completely intrigued and inspired the first time I heard his music. So as you know, every guest that I have on this show is someone that has motivated me in some way, and I know that they will motivate you too. So my first experience with Trey was when I went to the Mahogany at the Museum event in Detroit, Michigan at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, and I saw him perform. And it was interesting because when he spoke initially, he seemed somewhat soft spoken, but when he began to sing and play his acoustic guitar, it was amplified. It was like there was just microphones embedded in his vocal cords, and his music was that which just pierced the soul. So I knew at that moment I definitely had to interview him for the show. So Trey, when we start off each episode of my show, I have my guests do a 30-second elevator pitch because it is an ongoing business tip for the listeners where they should be able to communicate who they are, what they do in a way that draws people in, yet leaves them wanting more and does not bore them to imminent death. So could you give our listeners your 30-second elevator pitch?
30-second elevator pitch. My name is Trey Simon. I always like to play soulful music. I like to make people fall in love. I like to draw people to love, and I like to bring cultures together. I believe in something that I like to call blended culture, where we're all made in God's image and we're all beautiful. And I guess my biggest goal in life is just to remind people of that and to bring them all together.
Yes, I love that. And your music and your message definitely says that loud and clear. So let's start with the beginning. One
Mm.
thing that I learned about you in my research was that your inspiration comes from, or some of your early inspiration came from attending the Detroit Symphony Orchestra as a child.
Yes.
So speak to us about the importance, what that meant for you and the importance of exposing children to music beyond what they hear on radio or TV.
Yeah, definitely the DSO changed my whole look on music from a very young age. My best friend's mother was first chair violinist for the
Mm.
DSO. So she would take us on the weekends and we'd go and watch her perform and just meet all these different musicians from all around the world. And it just opened my eyes to something that I didn't get to see every day, you know.
Mm.
And I was just blessed with a lot of good family friends that would just take me places and expose me to new things. And it's from moments like that that made me realize that from a young age, it's like, wow, I want to play music like that. Wow, I want to play on a stage like this one day. Wow, I want to be able to inspire people like I'm being inspired right now.
Mm.
And I think it's very important to expose all young people, all youth, to different styles of music. Like, I'll never forget the first time I went to a jazz concert
Mm.
or went to a classical with a DSO, you know, or watching somebody play guitar, or being in church and watching somebody just blow, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
it's very important for children to be exposed to all types of music and just to have those experiences that they can hold on to.
Yeah, and just knowing, I think sometimes people may think, oh, young people might not be into the orchestra or to jazz, but you never know until you expose them. You can
Exactly.
awaken something in them that may lie dormant for life if they had not had that experience. So, as I was looking at your bio, I noticed three words jumped out at me, and it was funny because I was just watching the movie Best Man Holiday,
I
where
got
there
you.
was a scene, and they said, what are three words that kind of, explain who and what you are and what you stand for. So I saw in your bio that you talked about the love of music, family, and equality.
Hmm.
Now, let's talk about equality a little bit first. Because one thing that I saw and that intrigued me when I saw you perform was that, you did it somewhat comically, but you explained to the audience that despite what we saw or what we thought, that you actually were a black man. So, what does it feel like? What's that experience of feeling like you have to explain who you are to the audience because they see so many different things when they look at you?
It's funny learning to explain everything. It's I don't even know if I can label myself a black man. I don't know if I could label myself a white man. I don't know if I could label myself a brown man. I don't know what to label myself. And I guess that
Mm.
was the biggest thing that was the learning point for me, was that I guess I'd want people to walk away from color sometimes and to go deeper into a soul to soul level.
Mm.
But I guess for me, growing up, it was hard to find an identity
Yes.
just because, you know, I had so many different cultures pulling at me and I grew up in a lot of different areas. And I don't know, for me, it's just, like I said, just finding your identity and all that. And it's funny having to explain that to people because, well, just the way that I look or the way that I am, people think I'm everything but what I actually am. Like,
Uh-huh.
people thinking like I'm Samoan, and they'll ask me like, "Oh, so what are you?" It's like, well, you know, my dad's African American and my mom's Caucasian. They're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, are you sure you're not like Samoan or something?" I was like, you know, I'm not trying to lie to you
Like
right
maybe you
now.
don't know what you are.
I was like, maybe you could help me. I don't know, but and I work with a Lebanese family, and people think I'm part of the family, think I'm Lebanese. I got
Hmm.
people talking to me to a different language every conversation I have, I swear.
Hmm.
But I think that's the beautiful thing of it, is that you
Yes.
can put me in any situation, and I'm gonna fit in with someone somehow. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
guess, but it definitely took a long time to find my identity and who I was. And, I feel like that we all have to go through that, and it takes
Hmm.
time.
And now, one thing I noticed too was that you have a very powerful song that kind of speaks to that. And it was interesting that you did that explanation because it made the song make a little more
Mhm.
sense, even if it's not your own story. But I would love to hear the inspiration behind the song Fighting for You.
Yeah, fighting for you. That was I have to say, I think it's one of the most important songs I think I've written so far.
Hmm.
Growing up, you know, my dad definitely went through a lot of struggles in marrying into my mom's family.
Hmm.
You know, my dad's from Little Crockett, Texas, you
Hmm.
know, down south, like not much going on down there, you know. And then my mom was kind of found her way into a wealthy family up in Oxford, Michigan, which is like seems like two opposite sides of the world, or at least the
Yeah.
country, and cultures were really different. And I guess like my earliest memories are being on the playground, and kids would see my parents together and they didn't like it, and
Mm.
they would instantly, just like they look at me, they're like, man, I just really want to hit that kid or something.
Wow.
So I just found myself fighting and trying to just trying to fit in. At those times, you're so young, you don't really know what's going on. You really don't understand why people are hating you for who you were, or who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it's just the song really pulled from just experiences of being at the mall and just getting the weird stares, and
Mm-hmm.
people not believing me when I said what I was, or people saying, oh, that's impossible. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what's so impossible about two people coming together in love? What's so
Wow.
impossible about that? And even my own experiences being in high school, like, again, getting the labels. And, I just remember dating a couple girls and just being in the position of, Trey, I really like you, and you add so much to me and everything, but if my parents ever knew that I was dating a black guy, it'd be the end of me. Or dating, someone down the city, and they might be embarrassed of pulling me around just because, this is the white suburb kid coming down to the city. And I don't know, it's just hard to fit in on either side. And for me, I just don't look at it like that. For me, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
Someone's individuality is
Mm-hmm.
what pulls me in. What makes you different from everybody else? Like, I don't look at color. I just want to know that it's somebody that's going to love me, that's going to fight for me, that's going to allow me to fight for them as well.
Yes.
So it was pulling out just from a lot of different feelings and experiences that um, really shaped who I am today.
So I have a question. And it starts with the story. My nephew's father is black, my
Mm.
brother, and his mom is white.
Mm-hmm.
And so he checked both me and my mother on Christmas because my mother said something to the effect of, yes, he's such an articulate black man, or something, speaking about someone.
Mm-hmm.
And my nephew, he's 10, he said, that's racist. And I'm like, you know what? It's very interesting that you called her out on that. I said, because just because someone's black doesn't mean that they can't be articulate.
Yes,
I
yes.
said, so you as a black man, he looked at me, he said, I'm mixed. So
It's true.
he told me. So what advice do you have for a young man? And it's funny, it's like some parallel to you. He loves music.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where it came from. None of us are musical, but he
Mm-hmm.
has memorized every Michael Jackson song,
That's
video,
awesome.
movement. And so what advice do you have for a young man like him growing up in Ann Arbor and, probably facing some of the same things that you faced
Yeah.
on that playground?
It's funny that you say that. I come from no musical background whatsoever.
Hmm.
I randomly found a guitar and started playing it, and I
Wow.
just found my way. So definitely with him. And I guess my biggest advice to your nephew and just kids that are in that same situation is, don't feel like you have to change who you are to fit in with anybody else.
Mm.
I think the most powerful thing about being a person of blended culture is that you are in your own place.
Mm-hmm.
You are in a perfect place to influence and to inspire and to change perception of other people. Don't feel like you have to put a label on yourself. Focus on being the influence. Focus on being the one that does get attention. Focus on being the one that always makes a statement in those situations.
Yes.
And I guess it took me a while because I wasn't always making the right statement or the best statement,
Mm-hmm.
but I was always making a statement.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to learn through all of that. And you're going to understand that some people they're simply just not going to like you because of who you are.
Mm.
But the thing is, you have to show them the best example of who you are. And that is a person of blended culture. And that is a person that is beautiful and made in God's image, which is everything that is beautiful and pure and perfect and lovely.
Mm.
And you are powerful because of the position that you're in.
Yes, I'm definitely gonna let him listen to this interview. So, you are 21, unless you had a birthday since that
I
show.
am 21.
And you already, and not to say that a 21-year-old can't, but you have this very clean, crisp, high quality product and brand. So when did you start? Are you independent? Is there a label? What's your journey of your musical career?
So far, I graduated from high school, and I had somebody that I was working with that was down at Full Sail University. So when I was 18, he said he knew some producers that have worked with B.O.B., Ace Hood, and Rick Ross, and a lot of different people. Not exactly my style of music, but he thought it'd be a good way to get my foot in the door. So I actually went down to Orlando. I stayed there for about 2 weeks, and I worked with a lot of these guys. And a lot of them wanted to meet in strip clubs and stuff like that, and I just wasn't about that. From a young age, I was very focused on what I wanted to do, and I wasn't going to get distracted into anything.
Wow.
And they don't like that, so a lot of the stuff fell through. Just a lot of dead ends. I've gotten publishing offers for writing at a young age. I got caught up into a small label at a young age that kind of really set me back.
Wow.
I have songs that are out that I still haven't received a penny from. I've definitely gone through some stuff at a young age just trying to make myself in music, and it really wasn't until I found myself in a place where I was telling nobody is going to work at this like you will work at this. So just go and get it. Why do you need to have this massive team behind you? God will place the right people in your path when it's the right time. And so for me, it was being in a position of Matthew 6:33, the first seek the kingdom of God above all else in his righteousness, and he'll give you everything that you need.
Yes.
And so for me, I was just, all right, God, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I know that you have a plan for me, and we're going to get it figured out. And I just kept pushing, and I kept pushing, and I made mistakes, and I made decisions, and I reaped the consequences. But I keep finding my way into a good place. And it's funny. It's always when you're trying to make it all happen yourself that everything falls apart. It's always when you're in the place of, all right, God, what you got for me? I'm just going to write the songs. I'm going to play the shows. And then things work out,
Yeah.
So I think it's just a lot of faith in this journey so far. And it's going to continually be a lot of faith. And I really just want to play bigger venues, meet more people, just get out and share my heart with people. It's the biggest goal, is just to share this big heart of mine.
And that kind of leads me to one of my other questions. I think sometimes when people see someone who's so talented, has such a beautiful product, they just assume that everything's easy and everything just fell into place and just happened for you. So share with us a challenge that you overcame and what it taught you.
Past 3 years have been very difficult. When I was a freshman in high school, my parents actually got a divorce. And we went from being your middle-class family with a nice house with, I could have everything that I ever wanted, didn't really have to worry about anything. Grew up in church, was very sheltered, never really got to see anything difficult, to my parents splitting up, and then my dad getting an apartment, losing his apartment. Then we finally got a condo, losing our condo.
Wow.
And then getting to a place where, oh my God, I'm living in a Red Roof Inn with my dad sharing a bed. And eventually getting to a spot where I couldn't really be around him for a little bit, and was sleeping in my buddy's cars and just trying to make my way. I was like, wow, I went from having absolutely everything to like not really having anything. And all my friends were really wealthy, I wasn't like that. And I just I have to make something out of myself. I'm going to get through this, because any person that has to deal with this needs to know that they can get through it. And it was a difficult time for me, but I'm out, I rent a room from somebody, I pay my own bills, I found my way out, and I know that things are going to continue to grow in the future. So that's definitely a big struggle for me, is doing the hotel life. I lived in hotels for about 3 years.
Wow.
So Red Roof Inn, I lived in a Concord. You meet a lot of shady characters all over the place. Girls knocking on the door, prostitutes, asking to stay the night, drug dealers. I've seen drug raids in these places, just crazy stuff. But we made it through. We made it through, and I wouldn't trade that time for anything. It taught me a lot.
Thank you, and I appreciate you for sharing that. I think there's really a beauty in transparency, where someone listening, it could be one person listening in some other state, some other city, that needs to know they're not alone, and that may have been the inspiration they needed to keep pursuing their music career or their business career or things of that nature. Another thing that I find so powerful, and it's in particular, I believe it's the song you just opened the show with, is there's something about one voice, one instrument that's so powerful to me. And that's how you performed at Mahogany at the museum, and that is what you did for us just now. So it just resonates in my soul when I hear that. So talk about, what does it bring up for you, that one voice, one instrument? What does that mean to you, and about it that is so special?
You can't hide anything.
Mm.
You can't. You really can't. I played in bands. I started playing in bands as a lead guitar player before I even thought about singing or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even been singing that long. And I don't know, you get to a place where you get tired of trying to share other people's ideas and other people's stories. And you're like, I need to share my story.
Yeah,
like,
just
I
raw
got all
and
this
uncut.
in me. Exactly. And that's everything that's soulful, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you see one person pick up an instrument or just a vocalist just sit there and just pour it all out there for you, you can't hide nothing.
Yes.
You know if somebody has soul or not.
Mm.
You know. And for me, that's just been the best way for me to share my heart. And I'm in the process of putting a band together. I've, you know, done some rehearsals, done some jam sessions and stuff, but still, just nothing feels the same. Just standing in front of a crowd with an acoustic guitar and just sharing your heart.
Yes.
You know, it's hard to compete with people, but then again, I'm not here to compete with anybody. That's not the goal. The goal is just to share things, you know. But I'll never forget, I opened up for Andy Grammer this past summer on the Back Home summer tour, and I played about in front of 1,000 people at the Crowfoot Ballroom in Pontiac, Michigan. And, you know, I'm thinking, I was like, all these people have bands, you know, how am I going to do this? You know, I play small little local joints, you know, but I was like, you know, but it's the same thing. I'm just going to do what I do. And nothing felt more powerful. And I sat there with an acoustic guitar and had people snapping and clapping with me and just grooving, you know, just keeping it soulful with me.
Yes.
Nothing felt better.
Speaking of keeping it soulful, that is your moniker, if you will. So what gave birth to that as your moniker, keeping it soulful?
Well, for me, keeping it soulful is just something that I reminded myself with, you know, live life serving Christ, live life serving people, write music, play music that's going to make people feel something different than what's on the surface. It wasn't all about just music. It wasn't supposed to be this little catchy thing that caught on to anything. It's just something that I would write down on pieces of paper when I was writing, and it was something that I used in a lyric to an old song, and it just blew up into other stuff, you know. It really became a part of what I do, and I got it tattooed on me, you know, but it's just a reminder for me and a reminder to other people to always swim a little deeper, you know.
Hey, I love that. So what is next for you? I know that you are promoting your current album, so we can talk about that, but, you know, what's next? What projects? What shows?
Yeah. Well, for shows, I'm going to be playing at the Pike Room in Pontiac, January 17th, with Mike Maines and the Branches. I'm really looking forward to playing there, booking a lot more shows. I want to get out of town a little bit. Already working on new music. So I'm going to be releasing some new music and really just building this family of mine, you know. I look at all the people that listen to my music as a family, and when I tell people and stuff, I'm nothing cool. I'm really not that cool, you know. I'm the guy that drinks Cabernet and watches SpongeBob, you know what I mean? Like, and my friends mess with me because they're like, Trey, you bougie. Trey, you real bougie, you know. It's just like, I don't think I'm that cool, though. It's all good, you know. But,
well, Cabernet is also my drink of choice, and SpongeBob has adult content. And I noticed that when my nephew was like 4, and he's just like, he's just cracking up, and I'm like,
do you know what
these are like
said?
Adult jokes. Like, this may be animated, and this may be a sponge, but this has adult content.
This has some adult content.
I totally get the Cabernet and SpongeBob. So what about your current album? I know that I have a copy of it, and I play it on repeat. That's how great the music is, and I've passed it along, so I have to buy another one. But where can we get your album, and how can we support your music?
Yeah, if you go to Spotify, I have it all on Spotify. If you go to iTunes, it's on iTunes, Google Play, anywhere online. If you look up Trey Simon's What the Future Holds, the EP will be there for everyone. And if you want to listen to it for free, you can go to TreySimonMusic.com. I have videos, I have pictures, all my show dates, absolutely everything. Trey Simon will be on the website. So check it out.
And every show, we also do some motivational tips in the areas where I feel people need motivation the most, which I think are business, finances, fitness, and relationships. And since it seems that you are pretty much running a business here with your music career, so you're an entrepreneur, and you also always talk about love, I would love to hear a tip that you have for our listeners in each of those areas.
Okay.
So one business tip and one relationship tip, whatever you feel moved to say in whichever order.
For business or just a goal or whatever you find your purpose in, I believe to always write down a mission statement, to write down your purpose, to write down your dreams, to surround yourself with images and visions of all that. Like if you walk into my room, I have the posters from the shows I've played. I have pictures of crowds. I have pictures of my heroes. I have just things to constantly have that reminder of why you're doing what you're doing. And if you write those things down, you can't deny them because they're right there for you, and you can edit them over time too. And it's just always good to have that reminder. So with business and all that, you need to believe in yourself with everything that you are and what you have, and you need to write it all down.
Now, my favorite topic of life.
Life.
Ooh, love and relationships. What relationship tip do you have for our listeners?
Oh, Lord. I'm young. I am very young, but I've been in different relationships, and I've learned a lot. Oh, Lord, have I learned a lot. I just got out of a relationship not too long ago, and it was a very, very passionate relationship. Everything happened extremely quick. It was 1 month of hanging out. Before you know it, you spend the night at my house every night, drinking Cabernet, candles lit everywhere. SpongeBob might have came out a couple of times. She had the news on too much, though. I couldn't handle it. But love and relationship, man. Take your time. Take your time. Don't say things you don't mean. You know, don't jump into things. Let everything mean something. Let everything be an experience. Make memories. Know that you actually like the person and not just the face and the body and everything. There's so much more to people. And take your time. That's just my biggest thing. Take your time and never be afraid to share what you feel. And give them your absolute everything when you get to the point of where you took your time and you know what you're actually dealing with in the situation. And I didn't do that. And that relationship did not last very long whatsoever.
Well, thank you again for your transparency. I love that. That makes for the best advice, if you ask me. Now, again, I mean, just tell us, we want to support you. What is the best? I know we can buy the music. I know we can download the album and share. But what right now, for what you need in your life, is the best way that we can support you?
It may sound weird, but when people go on my Facebook or they watch my videos and they leave a comment just saying, Trey, thank you for that song. That really helped me. That really touched me. That, you know, I understand what you're saying. You know, just the response, you know what I mean? It keeps me going. There's days where it's like, man, why am I doing this? You know what I mean? And I have to remind myself, and I have to have those close people in my life pushing me. I think the biggest thing that people could do for me is if you feel something and something doesn't, let me know, because that's what keeps me going, and that's what inspires new material and for me to put out more ideas and for me to keep pushing when I don't feel like pushing anymore. You know, for me, it's just I want to build a relationship with people. You know what I mean? It's not me like, oh, I write great music, listen to my music, you know, you should come to my shows and spend money on me. No, you don't have to do all that. Just help me build that relationship with you. Let's put the walls down. Let's have that real talk.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Now, speaking of real talk, I have a special request. If you feel so moved, I would love for our audience to experience your song, Fighting for You.
Oh, definitely.
So if you could close the interview for us by playing that, I think everyone will understand.
Let me get a sip of water. I'm so
power.
hoarse
Yes,
over
please.
here.
So again, you are listening to Motivation Mondays with Monica Marie Jones, and we are interviewing the talented. You can't just call him a singer. You can't just call him a musician. He is an artist, Mr. Trey Simon. And you can experience all of his musical artistry at TreySimonMusic.com, and Trey is spelled Trey. And now he's going to take us on out of here with a very powerful piece called Fighting for You.
I was so young, Never thought of it, never dreamed of it. I was too young, and I was in grade school. The other boys didn't like me much. Had a couple friends growing up that didn't see color in my skin. Society is taking a lot from me. And I've worked too hard to have you here with me. I know that I'm black, I know that you're white, and I don't care if your parents ever find it right. I'll be fighting for you, be fighting for you. I'll be fighting for you. I know that it's hard to not live in hate, to walk the other way after feeling what I felt. We're all God's people. Why divide ourselves? This earth could be heaven. Why make it hell? Society is taking a lot from me. And I've worked too hard to have you here with me. I know that I'm black, I know that you're white, and I don't care if your parents ever find it right. Be fighting for you, be fighting for you. I'll be fighting for you. Is this what love is supposed to be? And two hearts as one. And all things are possible with God. And all things are possible. I know that I'm black, I know that you're white, and I don't care if your parents ever find it right. Be fighting for you, fighting for you, be fighting for you.
Yeah. So again, thank you, Trey Simon. Any final words?
Thank you so much for having me, and always remember to keep it soulful. I love you guys, and thank you for all the opportunity.
Yes. And again, you are listening to Trey Simon on Motivation Mondays with Monica Marie Jones.